right, everyone, we're back. Make sure you scan in. All right, if you're watching on YouTube, let me know if it is working. You guys are there, YouTube Live, let me know. Zoomers, I'm still waiting on you guys to sign in. Still a few of you missing. Leona, did you check in? Jonathan, you have to check in. Let's see, Leona just did. And Stephanie. Where is he? Gilbert, I got your message, but I'll address it after, okay? All right. Lisa, hi. All right, cool. It's working. And now that Jonathan checked in, we can move on. Okay. All right, guys. So we are going to go over general brokerage practices. A lot of the stuff here, I'm going to let you know right now. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to skip, only because it might be more towards the broker's class versus agent class. So there's a few things I skip. Other things we just addressed in the previous chapters. So between agency, and we talked about it in contracts, and now in listings. I briefly mentioned some of the stuff we're going to go over here. So some I'll skip, some I'll focus on. All right. So make sure you guys are paying attention. And I'm going to start talking about, first of all, actually, brokerage. What does this mean? This word, brokerage. What does brokerage mean? Anyone? Let me know in the chat. Brokerage. Without searching, without Googling, I just want your opinion of what it means. Andrea M just wrote broke agent. I don't know, your comments are the best. Brokerage means you're broke and you're an agent. But I know what you mean. Broker, agent, I got it. Sorry, I have to mess with people. You know how it is. Ron says a company that sells, helps buy and sell. Okay. Sebastian says the firm that sponsors real estate agents. Okay. What else? Anybody else? What is brokerage? Or think about it. What does it mean to broker? Right? To broker something. Just the word to broker something. What does it mean? Mediator. Right? Okay. So just facilitate. So just like Ron, he wrote that it's a firm that helps buy or sell, right? So there's a product on the market. In our instance, so real estate brokerage, right? So Lisa, no, it's not agency. And this is the reason why I stopped here, because brokerage doesn't mean agency. Okay? Because agency depends on how you represent. Are you an agent or not? Right? You could help somebody go through the transaction by facilitating. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an agency. Okay? And again, real life terms that we used to, right? That's what we hear on the streets, are not exactly right. Okay? It's just we get used to saying certain things. Right? Doesn't mean it's correct. So brokerage means to, or brokering means to mediate or facilitate something. There's a seller that has a product for sale, right? There's a buyer that wants to buy that product. What we do? Matchmake. We bring the seller to the buyer or the buyer to the seller. That's all we're doing. So we're brokering the deal, we're mediating the deal or facilitating the deal. Okay? For it to be considered agency means they're one of the parties or both parties hired us specifically to represent them. Other than that, brokerage helps people achieve a goal. What is the goal? To buy something or to sell something. Got it? Thumbs up. Great. Leon, you're good? All right. Lisa, let me know if you got it. On YouTube. So the core activity of a brokerage is to effect a transaction. That's what we do. We procure a buyer, so we look for a buyer. Procure means look for or search for a buyer, a seller, a tenant, or prospect on behalf of a client for the purpose of completing a transaction. If successful, we just talked about it in listings. If successful, we get a commission. Great. Now, a broker's compensation for effecting a transaction is usually a negotiated percentage of the purchase price. We also talked about that. Right? Broker cooperation, we did talk about it. It's called co-brokerage. That's when we share our commission with another agency. We talked about that already, right? I'm going to go right through. MLS, multiple listing service or system. This is the Craigslist for realtors, is where we advertise properties that we exclusively obtain the authorization to list or advertise, right? We put on the MLS for other realtors to see it, right? Now, the next page, I'm going to slow down a little bit, on page 171, critical brokerage skills, okay? I know it's not highlighted, just want to go over this since we didn't have a chance to do it in chapter 1. The critical brokerage skills, or what's expected of us to develop as a skill, right, is pretty much this. We need to learn or develop a skill on finding clients, okay? Now, there's different types of clients. There's the buying client and there's the listing client. So one of the skills is obtaining a client listing. So how to deal with sellers. That's one of the skills we need to develop, right? How to market that seller's property. When you see listing as a seller's property, it's advertised for sale, right? That's something we need to learn how to do. You know, because knocking on doors, some people are really good at obtaining listings and other people are really good at marketing the listings. It's rare for you to find one person that's able to do all of them, right? It's very rare. Usually, especially in today's day and age, we partner up with other agents within our office. We partner up with other agents and say, hey, I'm going to go door knocking. You're going to market the listing I'm going to get today, right? And we work together with some type of split, for instance, or if it's in your organizational chart already within the company to work as a team, then boom, you don't have to negotiate anything. It's set. I'm going to go get this. You get a benefit from it as well. So help me, right? The other thing that we need to learn, the skills, is how to facilitate the closing of a transaction. Because look, Everybody knows when you advertise a property for sale, it's because you're looking to what? Say it, say it, say it. Say it. To accomplish the sale, to close, right? You don't just get the keys to the door without being able to enter, right? Because the ultimate goal is to be able to enter, right? So facilitating the closing of a transaction is, we got the listing. What are the next steps? This is a skill you need to develop. It's a simple checklist, but we need to learn how to go through the checklist and make sure nothing fails, right? A lot of agents fail on this. And managing market information. Why is market information so important? Because market, as we'll talk about more in detail tomorrow, markets go up and down. That's market right there. That squiggly line going up and down, that's market. It could be the stock market, right? It could be the real estate market, any kind of market. It's an up and down. Prices are not constant in any type of market. So we need to know, are we in an up market or are we in a down market? Mr. Seller, if you were to sell right now, you're going to lose money. We need to know this. Now, that's not true today. As we're doing this on March 29 of 2021, it's not true today. But 10 years ago, it was true that if you were to sell the property in that market, a seller would lose money. If you were to sell today, most likely you're making money. Are you guys understanding? So you need to know these things. You need to be able to explain and also look at what the client has, because a lot of people go for the listing. Hey, I got a listing, without asking, do you have a mortgage? Do you have to pay? What is the balance on your mortgage? You know, there's listings out there where the seller could actually lose money because realtors, you forgot to put something there, which is commission. Seller wants $400,000 for the house. Okay, explain to them $400,000 for the house plus closing costs plus commission. We have to advertise your property for $480 as an example. Right? For you to get the 400, we need to advertise for 480. Hopefully closes at 470. And I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, today is not the day for that type of value. Your property is worth 430. So is there any way you could take less than the 400? Right? Just be realistic right now, because if I am going to help you, unfortunately, I have to get paid for the transaction, right? And there are closing costs associated with the transaction that you have to pay. So is 400 your final number, or could be a little lower, right? Property is worth 430. Oh, forget it then. I'm going to do for sale by owner. By all means, but closing costs are still there. Okay? Other costs are still there. The length of time that your property is going to be on the market is still there. Marketing costs are still there, right? Now, I'll take over the marketing costs because that's part of my commission, right? Are you able to come down a little bit on that? Oh, no, unfortunately I can't because I have a mortgage of 400. That's why I need the 400. All right, do you guys understand? You need to know all the information about the property and compare it to current market. What can we do? Can it be done? Or maybe, Mr. Seller, you know what? For this property to be worth 460, 470, maybe even 480, how about we spend roughly $2,500 in landscaping and maybe basic painting of this or that? Sometimes that's all we need. It increases value. Okay? Outdated fixtures is something that draws back the value. And sometimes it's cheap. Update the appliances. Sometimes that's all you need to do. Reface the cabinets. You don't need to replace the cabinets if they're in good condition, the kitchen cabinets. Reface them. Small things sometimes are easy to do, cheap to do, but give so much more value to a property. Are you guys understanding this? Right? Let's see. Gilbert. As today, it's a good time to sell. Right now is a good time to sell, yeah. Why are sellers in the market? What contributes to a shift in the market? Right now, you're talking about today? Okay, so there's not many sellers in the market. They're holding on to as much as they can because the market is going up, right? So they're holding on as much as they can. And there's too many buyers out there. Why? Because interest rates are historically low. If interest rates are low, people want to buy. It's almost last month was at 2.5% more or less, right? Average 2.5%. That's almost like free money. Everybody should be buying a house at 2.5%, right? Now it went up to 3%. It's still free money. In 2005, we were at 5% and increasing 1% a year after that. Literally, we got to 2009 and some of the rates were 8 or 9%. So if you find yourselves at 3, even at 4, it's great money, right? Take advantage. So why are sellers in the market? They're not. It's a seller's market because they can demand whatever they want. They can ask $1 million for a house that's worth $250 because there's 100,000 buyers in the area that want to buy that particular house because there's nothing else on the market. So any seller that puts a house on the market, boom, sold. Even if it's a bad house. So it still sells. Gilbert, what happens if the seller's in denial? Well, it's going to get dry if they're in denial. Dad jokes. Remember, I'm a dad, so dad jokes. Denial, river. Okay, anyway. So should we suggest an appraisal? Look, I'll tell you what I went through and going through with a particular client. He's selling and buying, right? He's happy that his house is worth $400,000 right now, right? He's happy that it's worth, but he doesn't want to pay $400,000 for another house. I'm like, he goes like, he starts looking at the houses, he starts looking at the taxes, and I'm like, listen, it's 100 dogs for a bone. 100 dogs for a bone. No, they didn't accept my offer. I'm the only offer there. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. The house could be destroyed, and there's still 100 dogs to a bone. But he's in the night. I showed one of our agents. I was 57 minutes on the phone with this client, explaining this again. Something I explained face to face, over the phone a couple times, and just 2 days ago, I was 57 minutes on the phone with this person. Again, I have no problem in explaining things, but people are, especially buyers, are in denial. They are. What can you suggest? To sellers, can you suggest an appraisal? Sure, they're still going to deny it. You know what he told me? If the house, I told him 400. We said 370 in the beginning to be conservative, would be the listing price, but we would list it to lower so we can attract more buyers, and the price would be driven up, right? Because of demand, supply and demand, right? He says, oh, if they're not giving me 400,000, then we'll tell them to find another bank. Wait, you're going to tell the buyer to find another bank if the appraiser says it's not worth 400? Who in their right state of mind is going to tell the other side, hey, you go find another bank because this house is worth more? Like, no. You can ask for whatever you want, but that doesn't mean that that's what it's worth, right? So appraisals. Can you do appraisals? Sure. Two challenges here. One is getting them to spend the $600 to get an appraisal just to list their property. Number two, them accepting that their house is now worth that value. It's challenges, no matter what. Okay. Brenda, is that the same for all states? I'm sorry, what is the same for all states, Brenda? Joshua, what is their rebuttal to you? Do they have any evidence outside of just most of them are just emotional. Almost every seller, by the way, an emotional decision, right? As far as Brent, I'm waiting for your typing, right? Just want to make sure. Okay, so you forgot? Great. Sorry. So every decision, every value that's out there is based on emotion. Look, I believe my house is worth $1 million. Okay. Logically, as a professional, and this is what I tell my clients all the time, as a professional, I know it's not. Emotionally, it's my house. I did this, I did that. Every corner in the house, I was there, right? I'm the one that painted the walls. I'm the one that decorated, as an example. I'm the one that rehabbed the house. So emotionally, there's that value, okay? The logical, they tend to that's what I'm trying to say. They tend to overvalue the property because logically, right, we know the market as realtors. And that's what I had in 57 minutes. I tried to explain to my client in 57 minutes. 3 times I told him, look, this is what I've been doing for 16 years as an investor and as a realtor as of late, right? I've been doing it for 16 years. I'm not doing it in an emotional standpoint. Okay? This is the market. We can list the property for almost anything you want and people will still buy it. But that does not mean that you can ask for whatever you want. We can list for anything within the market demands. Okay? My house is worth $1 million emotionally. Realistically, it's worth $500,000 as an example. So we need to try to bring the sellers back to that value. But they always want more, of course. And buyers always want less, of course. It's your job to mediate. Your job to explain. All right? This is going to be your biggest challenge, is managing market information and relate that information to your clients. Okay? Brenda, did I give you enough time to remember the question? Yeah? Okay. Because you were talking about, is it the same for all states? Was it commission? Was it value? Market? What was it? I saw somewhere that it's better for you to talk to a client about market value over the phone than in person. No. Look, there's a lot of online agencies nowadays. Okay? Why would it be better to talk to somebody over a phone than in person? As soon as I'm trying to explain something over the phone, right, I'll tell my client right away, hey, or prospect, how about this? How about we schedule some time in the near future, or hopefully in the next couple of days, where I can come and sit down with you and I'll show you exactly what the market is doing. I'll bring my laptop and we'll do a search together on properties around your area and how we determine more or less the value of a property. Right away. I want to get my foot in the door. I want to be there. Because once I'm there, you guys remember, I mentioned this in previous chapters, possession is 9/10 of the law. Okay. Remember that for sales as well. A lot of people, not too many people, I'm sorry, are good over the phone. Not too many people. But once I'm there, it's a different perspective. I'm there with you. 2 things just happen. 1, I have a foot in the door, so I'm there. And 2, right? I'm now showing you things. I am real. And so is the market. Over the phone, you're going to talk to me about Trulia and about Zillow, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Right? When was the last time Zillow or Trulia came to your house? See, your house is unique. I cannot compare it to these houses that are next to yours. Your house is unique. Maybe what we see online that would evaluate your property at $350, once I'm there, maybe your house is worth $1 million. Right? I'm not promising or guaranteeing anything, but as soon as I sit down with you and I see your property, I'll have a better idea of what we're working with. You understand the difference here? Try to get to the house. Who's going to say no to me now that I'm in the house and I'm showing you the reality? You know? Right? 9 out of 10 times, if you're there, you won. Not many people are ready for this online agencies. Not many are. But if my foot is in the door, 9 out of 10 times, we got that listing. Got it? You were laughing, why? Isn't it true? Questions on this one? YouTubers? All right, Dre just wrote something. Pricing the house comes with experience. Yeah, so pricing a house comes with experience. That's guaranteed. In the beginning, you should have assistance from your broker, team leaders, or co-workers to determine a value. And never, ever, ever, ever use Zillow or Trulia as your preliminary market value. Never. And I'll tell you why, guys. Zillow and Trulia, they pull info from public records, right? And not that we don't, we do that as well, but then we're going to see stuff that's on the actual MLS, what's happening right now. Zillow and Trulia usually are very behind on market information. But the other thing you guys can, who lives in the multifamily? Anybody raise your hand if you live in the multifamily? Okay, great. This is a challenge for you guys. Don't do it now, please, so we can move forward. But this is a challenge. If you guys remember after the class, go to Zillow or go to Trulia and search your property. Most of the times, it's going to show single family. Even though you're in the multifamily, it's going to show single family. That alone is enough for me to win appointments a lot of times. Right? I mean, to win the listings a lot of times. Because that alone shows that their information data is not accurate. Because if you're in the multifamily, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, this is a 2-family or 3 or 4. You're saying that your property is worth $500,000, right? But it says here it's a single family. Do you think these numbers are accurate? Right? I'm here and I'm seeing your house. It's a multifamily, right? So let's adjust accordingly. Your property should be worth X amount of dollars based on information that I pulled of equivalent properties, not just general market data. Okay? So I challenge you guys to do that after the class. Marlon, what if property over or underpriced, appraisal not necessary? So appraisal will always be necessary if it's being financed. Okay, if the purchaser is purchasing with a financing company, so a bank, appraisal will always be necessary. If it's cash, I mean, it's up to you. Do you want to take the chance, right? Gilbert, I said after. I didn't say now. You went to search. Yours is a multi? Okay. All right, since we're doing that right now, since you brought it up, I really need to speed up though. Louis, you said you're in the multi, right? So could you please check yours? Well said, in the multi, go search your property on Zillow or Trulia. See what it says. Let's see how many say multi, how many say single. Real quick. Gilbert, did you buy the property recently, or are you renting, or do you know if there was any transaction recently to that property? Okay. Trying to put me on the spot, that's what he's doing. I see how it is. It's a fairly new home, so new data, there you go. Thanks. Could have disclosed that before. Does it take that long to go on Zillow and search? Come on, guys. All right, if I don't get answers, I'm going to move forward. Lewis says single. Now, Lewis, if you don't mind, is it a 2, 3, 4 family? Let me know. It's a 2 family. It says single. Okay. Anybody else that was in the multi? Let me know what the result was. Marlon says it says multi. Okay. Was there anybody else? Now, don't forget that Zillow, and which owns Trulia, Zillow just created an agency also, so a real estate brokerage called Open Door. So they might be finally updating some of these things, right? But for the most part, it says single. Especially if there's no real estate transaction that happened in the last few years. They won't have anything to pull data from. They'll go from whatever says on tax records, and tax records does not say if it's a single or multi property. Okay. Gilbert, they had to do an upgrade because of the open door. They had to. All right. So that's why you're asking that. Okay. All right. So brokerage, Jonathan says I can't even find mine. Is yours a double lot? Like sometimes what happens is we're like 17 Adams Avenue, but it's actually 15-17. Multifamilies, a lot of times that's what it is. No? So your house does not exist? Okay. So that's how accurate it might be. Great. All right, moving forward. Brokerage versus trading. What is the difference between brokerage versus trading? So brokerage, we're helping others. Trading is we buying properties, fixing properties, flipping properties, or we're buying properties and holding properties and sell it later on at a later time. Okay, so the difference is whether you're helping others, third party, or our own. The next one is brokerage versus advisory services. Did you guys know that as soon as you're licensed, you can provide advisory services and charge for it without being in a brokerage capacity? We don't have to deal with the seller and the buyer. We could just be dealing with a seller or just with the buyer without any sale or rental. Okay? Advisory services, somebody asks me, hey, Bruno, what do you think is the property value? I'm not trying to sell, I just want to have an idea. Right? Okay. 25 bucks, I'll search for you. I'll give you a full report. You want me to go further in depth in this search? 50 bucks, 75 bucks, whatever you want, you charge, if you want to charge. Right? I'm not going to give you for free without any hopes of getting a listing. Right? So I can charge for it. Totally up to you. Market analysis. What's happening over here in the Ironbound in Newark? Like, what is the average price change, for instance? You know? Or managing a property. When you manage a property, you're not brokering a sale. You're working for somebody in upkeeping the value of their property. Okay? Hold on a second. Jose, Bruno, I know this is not the chapter for this question, but what is the difference between condemnation and eminent domain? There's no difference. For you to have eminent domain, where the city or the county or the state takes over your property, they do a process called condemnation. They need to condemn your property, right? It's called a condemnation suit. They need to condemn your property in order to take the property. Eminent domain is the whole process, and the result is you losing your property to the to the city, to the county, or the state. But they need to start with something. It's a lawsuit. That lawsuit's called condemnation lawsuit. So eminent domain and condemnation goes together. Okay? Jose says, the meaning is so similar that I can't see the difference. Again, eminent domain is pretty much the whole thing. Condemnation suit is what must start in order to achieve eminent domain. Okay? All right. Even though fee consulting, going back to this, even though fee consulting is not brokerage in strict sense, real estate consultants who offer advisory services to the public must have a real estate license in most states. Like I said, once you're licensed, you can do a lot of stuff. Common brokerage specialties. A lot of people focus on something, and that's what I recommend everybody to do. Find your niche. Find the thing that you're good at. It doesn't mean you cannot do others, but find the one thing that you're really, really good at. Are you good with sales or rentals? Okay. Focus on sales. Focus on rentals. I had he's now an agent with us here at over there at New Direction Realty. When I met this guy a few years back, all he was doing, he doesn't do it anymore, but all he was doing for several years and very successful was rentals. He didn't want to touch sales. Rentals. That's all he did because it's fast turnover, right? A rental, especially he was doing here in the Ironbound in Newark. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but you put a house for sale, it's sold next day. You put an apartment for rent, it's rented the same day. So it's like you get 20, 30 calls a day just for that one apartment that you just listed. And that was his focus because through his brokerage at the time, what he was doing was collecting the application fees. Imagine 20 people times $50 application fee as an example. Every single day. How much money was he making? You understand? So some people, that's what they focus on. Sales, higher commission, right? Takes a little bit longer, but the reward is greater, and so on. Then you can also focus on residential or commercial. Within residential, there's different property types. As commercial, there's different property types. Some people focus on land, large developers, undeveloped land, right? Or special purpose, government, religious, recreational, so on. Some people focus on helping businesses sell their business. Restaurants, retail stores, right? So guys, we can do any of these. Your license is a real estate salesperson license. It does not say real estate sales or real estate rentals, or it does not say residential or commercial. Your license, you can cover everything. You got it? To address Brenda, can you focus on more than one? You can. Okay? You can. Do I recommend you to focus on more than one? No. Especially in the beginning. In the beginning, you should try. See what you like the most. Do a rental here. Do a sale there. See what you like the most. Do residential. Do commercial. See what you like the most. Whatever you're most comfortable with, go for it. Focus on it. Develop. Master it. And then when people think about commercial, they'll think about you, Brenda. When people think about residential, they think about Sebastian, as an example. I don't do commercial. I don't do industrial. I don't do business sales at all. I do residential only. That's my focus. And you know what? It's my focus in Newark only. I don't do outside of Newark. Unless it's a special request. Bruno, it has to be you. Has happened. But most of the times I try to pass it along to somebody else. Any of these other properties that I don't deal with, I pass it along to somebody else and I get paid a referral fee. But mainly because, and we'll talk about this later, mainly because you do not know the market. It's impossible for you to know New Jersey market, Texas market, Arizona market. You cannot know everything about the market in the whole state. Okay? Focus in a small area, right? In a particular type of property Focus on being the best at that, because then people will know it's you. Okay? Simple. Let's see. Jose says, I know both answers in the same multiple choices. Jose, to answer that one, it depends on what the question is asking. All right, let's see. Yilbert, land all day. Hey, Yilbert's going to focus on land. So Yilbert, if I need land, I know who to go to. Because I don't do land. Simple. Brandon, what if you have 2 licenses from 2 different states, then one state people focus more on rent, and you can have licenses in all 50 states if you want. I'm not telling you that you're not able to do it. You can be licensed again in all 50. Should you do it? That was the question. That's what I was trying to address. You can do, guys. You can do everything. You want to do residential, industrial, commercial. You can do all. By all means, do it. I don't recommend it. It's a personal opinion versus what you can and cannot do. Okay? I do not recommend it. Okay? When you try to do everything, something falls behind always. All right, what else? Real estate license laws. All it says here is that all 50 states and Canada, for some reason, they're part of this book. Nothing against Canadian people. But they impose legal licensing requirements on any person or business entity desiring to broker real estate. To obtain a broker license, an applicant must complete required education, meet the experience requirements as a salesperson, and pass a state examination. So that's the process across all the states. Required examination depends from state to state. State of New Jersey, 75 hours. Texas, like 160 or 180 hours to become a salesperson. Okay. Other states is 45 hours, but then after you get your license, you need to do another 90 hours, an example. So you need to know state to state. Once you complete it, you need to pass a state examination, which will give you, enable you to activate your license. You have to do a background check, so figure out if or how much of a criminal you are, right? Because you might have committed crimes, but not serious enough that it won't get you a license, right? So just because you have a criminal background, minor stuff, you can still get a license. Okay. Practicing real estate brokerage without a valid license is illegal. So if you're trying to help somebody sell, trying to help somebody buy, right? And you don't have a license and you're getting paid, it's illegal. Range of business entities. We have sole proprietor, corporation for profit. We have another chapter where I really address this more in detail. So for now, I'm just going to skip it. And I'm going to go straight to the chart. Right here, there's a chart on page 175. Okay. And who may broker real estate? If you want to open up a brokerage, okay, you could be an individual, just you, right? So individual, just you, with a license to broker so the real estate. You can be registered as a sole proprietor. You could be a for-profit corporation. You could be a general partnership, limited partnership, or even a joint venture. As long as your real estate commission allows you to enable your business or activate your license under one of these, right? Then you're good. You cannot be a not-for-profit, okay? A business trust or a co-op. Co-ops usually are non-for-profit as well. Okay, so these cannot broker. They cannot mediate a transaction. You can do it by yourself as an individual or sole proprietor, where you have a separate tax ID, for instance. Again, for-profit corporation, LLC, or corp. It could be a general partnership or LLP, limited partnership, or even a joint venture. Okay. Now, there's different types of brokerage organization. Again, just briefly going over this. It's not heavily tested. More for the brokerage course. But in addition to being organized as a sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, or joint venture, a brokerage may be independent or affiliated. That means are part of a franchise or are you independent? So for instance, New Direction Realty, the company that I own, is not part of a franchise. We're independent. Keller Williams is a franchise. So every Keller Williams office is independently owned and operated, but they're part of the franchise. So that means they have to follow certain rules and regulations, or basic rules and regulations. Okay? Every office must have the same colors, the same logo, the same layout. Stuff like that is required by corporate. Okay? Independent or boutique brokerages like mine, we set our own rules of what we want or not. Okay? Some brokerages specialize in type of property. So if you ever heard of CBRE, for instance, right, or Newmark, they handle mainly commercial properties. They don't do residential, right? We do commercial, but our main focus is residential. Okay? They specialize in types of transactions and types of clients like we were talking about before. What is the advantage of a franchise? And again, briefly going over this because it's not for salespersons, more for brokers, but for you guys to understand the difference. The advantage, or maybe the biggest advantage of a franchise or working with a franchise, is because you have a recognized trade name. Everywhere you go, people talk about, oh, I'm with RE/MAX. Well, everybody knows RE/MAX, right? That's the advantage. Worldwide, people know RE/MAX, okay? Maybe a disadvantage. And you show up and say, hey, I'm from the New Direction Realty. Who? Maybe it's a disadvantage. The majority of people nowadays really don't care about that. They care about service, right? So whether you're part of a franchise or you're part of an independent brokerage, service is key. If you're not providing any the proper service, then you will lose the clients in a heartbeat. Franchise, national, regional advertisement, training programs, and pretty much this is the thing. It's a standardized operating procedures across the board. So if you work at a RE/MAX in New Jersey and you go work for a RE/MAX in PA, it should be the same across the board. Any state should follow the same rules. And then they have a national referral system. Again, the advantages of a franchise. If you want to refer to somebody in California, right, you're in Jersey, you want to refer to California, you go through your network of people, keep everything in-house. Usually it's a lot easier that way. Some people can be sold in that concept, others doesn't matter what you do. Because I can refer, and I do refer, right? Somebody just asked me for a realtor in Puerto Rico. I'm like, okay, here we go. Went to National Association of Realtors and searched for a realtor in Puerto Rico. Simple. Still get paid. I just got to send a referral form. Do I need to be part of a franchise? No. Are you guys understand this? So advantages or disadvantages, everything it has that. It depends on what you want. Okay? The other thing that a franchise has, and that's why some people step back from a franchise versus going with a franchise, is that usually you have to pay for startup fees, and then a portion of your gross income goes to the franchise. So if you work for Keller Williams as an example, or RE/MAX, 6% of what you make in that transaction, and so you make $1,000 as an example, 6% of that $1,000 has to go to the franchise. It's called franchise fees. Okay, so a lot of people draw back from that. Oh my God, I still have to pay on top of the tech fee, the monthly fee, the whatever fee. I still have to pay franchise fees in every single transaction? Yep. Right? There might be a cap or limitation. Like once you reach this cap, you don't pay any more to the franchise. Maybe. Everyone is different. Right? There's commercial residential brokerages. There's transaction specialized brokerages. We talked about it. Buyer seller oriented and so on. We also have numerous trader. Oh, hold on a second. Do you take on any liability on a bad referral? Oh. Joshua just asked, do you take on any liability on a bad referral, and how do you go about vetting referrals? Look, the first thing you should say is, look, I'm referring. It's not me doing the work, so I cannot really vouch for them. If I was representing you, and I don't have license in that state or in that area, if I was representing you, I would know what I would do, and you can come after me. I'm referring to somebody that has a good reputation, but unfortunately, I cannot vouch for them, right? So it's up to you, Mr. or Mrs. Potential Buyer or Potential Seller, if you want to work with them or not. I'll gladly refer them to you, or vice versa. But that's it. So disclose right away that it's not you, right? Just like when I recommend contractors, or when I recommend title companies, attorneys, like, hey, I've worked very well with them in the past, but the relationship is you and them. If it goes wrong, or if anything goes wrong, I apologize up front. I hope it's great, because I've had great experience with these people. That's it. You have to learn how to disclose and separate yourself from the referral. As far as vetting referrals, like what? Making sure you get paid? Or just vouching for them? Oh, well, so that will be based on, like I did with this one in Puerto Rico. There was like 20-something agents that were active recently, right? And then I checked the reviews. How can you vouch for them? If they're not around you, if you never had the experience with them, if you never had a deal with them, it's tough. It's very tough. But we look at reviews, we look at volume, wherever we can research of things they've done, right? So when we were referring, we did say, hey, this person had 23 deals in the past year. So if they're this active, usually it's because they're good, right? But then it didn't have many stars. Like, there's not many reviews. Then we had another one with a lot of reviews, but not as many sales, right? At least in the past couple of years. So now, Mr. and Mrs. Potential Buyer or Seller, it's up to you. Do you want to go with somebody that's more active, not enough reviews, or somebody that has great reviews, but not as active in the market anymore? Totally up to the clients. So this is key for sales. I don't know if anybody's in sales or not, but the key for sales is always put the ball on their court. Give them options. Give them the feeling that they're in control, right? And that's what it is. You do your part, but give them the feeling that they're in control. They'll respect you way more if you do it that way, right? Versus you trying to tell them, no, you got to pick this one, got to pick this one. No, it's up to you. Now, we have the National Association of Realtors, more commonly known as NAR. Now, NAR is a trade organization. It's a professional organization. It's not a federal or state organization. Okay, it's just a group of salespeople decided to call themselves realtors because they handle real estate, right? And it sounds like superheroes. Realtor, right? Superhero. And it's really cool, right? Because you want to be called a realtor and not a salesperson. Makes a huge difference. Perspective, right? You call yourself salespeople, oh, sleazy salespeople, right? Realtor, power. Just don't walk around with your hammer, okay? Now, only members, it's in green, so only members of the organization can call themselves realtors and use the term realtor in advertisements. If you're not part of the National Association of Realtors, you cannot say you are one or market yourself as one. Okay? Very important. All right, next thing we have is broker salesperson relationship. I already explained to you guys that we work independently with our broker. We're sponsored by the broker. We're not employees of the broker. Okay? When it says employ a licensed broker, when you see the word employee, you don't have to mark this right now, it's just as an example. When you see the word employee, it means you are hired or contracted by. Okay? So I can be contracted, right, or hired to do a roof, right? My employees work for me as employees, right? But I was contracted for that service. I'm not an employee of that person. You guys understand? If you're a long-term employee of mine, that you're going to work for me on an hourly basis for the whole rest of the year, then you're an employee. But if I hired you for this particular service, then you are contracted for service. Big difference, right? So only a broker with an active broker license can hire and employ a licensed salesperson. A licensed salesperson may work only for the employing broker and may not work or receive direct compensation from any other broker. So, can you work for two brokers in the same state? The answer is no. Not at the same time. But nothing stops you guys, by the way, nothing stops you from working for a broker in New Jersey, another broker, separate broker in New York, separate broker in California, because they're different states. And for instance, New Direction Realty is not in New York. So why would I stop you from going to work for a company in New York? Does that make sense? But in New Jersey, you can only work for one agency. In New York, you can only work for one. In California, you can only work for one, and so on. And you can only get paid by that brokerage only. Okay? A licensed real estate broker is only authorized to represent the clients directly in brokering real estate. A sales agent, on the other hand, is only authorized to represent the broker and carry out such duties as the broker may legitimately delegate. We talked about this. When we go knock on doors, right? We go knock on the door on behalf of our sponsoring broker. We we prepare a listing agreement on behalf of our broker. Okay? You guys understand? Andreas says, is the sound stretching? The class is, because we got 47 minutes to cover all this. We gotta shorten it, not stretch it. If it's failing on you, I know what you're saying. I'm just messing with you. It could be, you should know by now. Andrea, weren't you warned before you started this class? Okay, all right. I understand. People refer other students to me. You should. If you ever refer other students to me, prepare them. I'm gonna pick on them. Let them know. Anyway, so it might be the internet. I'm not sure. All right. The agent must act entirely on the broker's behalf. I already told you guys about this, right? We covered in this previous chapter. The agent may not bind the client to any contract. Not directly. But to the broker client, yes. May not receive compensation directly from a client. That means seller cannot pay us. The seller has to pay the brokerage, always. Okay? And we may not accept a listing or deposit that's not in the name of the broker. There might be a question in the school or state exam regarding this. Okay? We cannot accept any monies to our name directly, any contract to our name directly. Okay? Our name will be listed in the contract as a listing agent, for instance, or buying agent, for instance, but never, never, ever as to the party to the contract. The broker is. Okay? Now, there's a huge difference between being independent contractor or employee. Okay, you guys should have this highlighted as I speak. But as an independent, guys, as I was explaining before, if you're employed as an independent, then you make your own hours. As an independent, you attend the meetings you want to. I cannot force you to be here at the meetings. Should you be here at the meetings? Yes. Okay. The same thing as you guys over here watching us, right? I cannot force you to pay attention. I'll try to call for your attention because it's your license, right, that you're trying to get, or your money that you paid for the class, but I cannot force you to anything. Okay? As an independent agent, same thing. The broker cannot force you to anything. No hours, no mandatory meetings, no uniform, specific uniform, nothing. The only thing I can say, hey, these are the basic rules and regulations mandated by law, and this is what we prefer at this office. That's it. Now it's on you. Okay? Another thing is this. As an independent, you are responsible for paying your own taxes and making your own deductions. As a brokerage, we pay you a check in full. You made $12,000 commission check. How much you get paid? $12,000. Simple. If you're an employee, you made $12,000 this month, but you only take home $8,000. Why? Because they deduct the taxes, right? When we pay you 100% of your commission. Whatever is owed to you is owed to you. But then you have to do your own deductions. Obviously, your CPA will do that for you, right? You have to always be ready. If I gave you a $10,000 check, take $2,000, put it aside. Take 20%. Put it aside for tax purposes. If you're an employee, we take it right away, okay, and give it to the government. If you're independent, we pay you in full, and then you have to deal with the government. Simple as that. Now, as an employee, we might give you other benefits like health benefits. As independent, you are responsible for your own. We don't provide you any. Okay? You guys got it? You know the difference between an employee and independent? Okay. The difference is taxes. Pretty much, that's the biggest difference. Taxes. Okay? Go ahead, Sebastian. But that's pretty much the biggest difference. Taxes. And what we can demand of you. That's it. So there has to be a written agreement, a clear written agreement of what to expect from your broker and vice versa, what a broker expects from you. Question. Can we have real estate assistants? Right? Hold on. Andre is asking, 1099 still go through an interview process? You're asking if independent contractors go through an interview? That's what you're asking? Okay. So let me address that real quick because she wrote 1099s. So this, for tax purposes, you're a 1099. And this one, for tax purposes, you're a W-2. So when you do your taxes, you either file a 1099 or a W-2. Do 1099s go through an interview process? It's different. You're interviewing the broker on why you should work with this brokerage, while the broker is looking at you to see why they should accept you as a contractor. Technically, interviews are not mandatory in any scenario. Whether you're 1099 or W-2, interviews are not mandatory. Should you go through an interview as an employee or as an independent? Absolutely. If you don't question who you're working for or with, right? Integrity and stuff like that, and what you can expect of these people, or vice versa, what they can expect of you, then how do you know you're in the right place? The same. Okay? It's just the acceptance is a little different. If you're an employee, I expect certain things from you that you must meet. As an independent, I cannot expect much from you than your own performance. So can I still interview you? Can I still ask you questions? Sure. But once you get your license, it's really up to you if you're going to make money or not. Got it? Okay. All right. I love when people have separate conversations in class. I just see Ron talking to the phone, and then Josh is like, no, dude, no, that's not what it is. No, man. You guys understand, I'm looking at all of you in the screen, so it's funny. Right, Clearly? Like I see everybody's interaction. Anyway. All right, can we have real estate license? I'm sorry, real estate assistants. Joshua, you can answer that one. Can we have real estate assistants? No? Ron, what do you think? Can we have real estate assistants? Joshua says no. Ron says yes. Come on, guys, decide. You're on speakerphone. Talk to each other. Yes or no? Maybe? Can I get a maybe, anybody? Raise your hand if I get a maybe. Okay, I got a few maybes. Great. So the answer is actually, yes, we can, right? We can have assistants. But, yep, Jose just answered it. Yes, but they are limited. What are they limited to? They're limited to clerical or ministerial acts, but nothing requiring a license. So can we have unlicensed assistants? The answer is yes. But that's all they do is help you with stuff that's from the office, like paperwork, organization, calls, scheduling. That's it. Okay? If they're licensed, and by the way, there are a lot of people that, hey, they realize maybe sales is not for me, but I have a license. Would you hire me as an employee? Right? Sometimes we have those. We have people that are licensed, but they work as employees. Now it's different. Now if I need you as a licensed assistant, if I need you to go open a door for a client that I cannot get there on time, for instance, I'll call you and say, hey, could you go? Not a problem. If you're unlicensed, I cannot ask you to do that. That's the difference. Okay? So sales agents' duties and responsibilities is to work with, diligently with other seller brokers' listings, diligently procure new listings, promote the business reputation of the broker, abide by the broker's established policies, fulfill fiduciary duties, maintain insurance policies, have transportation for conducting business, conform to ethical standards imposed by the broker and trade organization, and uphold all the covenants and provisions of the employment agreement. Yada, yada, yada. Already covered this. But now I want you to focus on this one. Hold on a second. O'Neill, if an agent is doing a showing, the owners came home and demand the agent to tell him the offer price, is that okay for the agent to disclose the offer? Agent, okay, hold on. I'm sorry, O'Neill, on YouTube, I'm a little lost in your question. You're saying if an agent is doing a showing and the owners come home and demand the agent to tell them the offer price, that is it okay for the agent to disclose the offer? So what he's saying is, let's say it's your house, O'Neill, and I'm showing the property to Sebastian, right? And Sebastian is interested in putting an offer, okay? You're asking, O'Neill, if I, representing the Sebastian, not representing you, if I can tell you what the offer price is? Is that what you're asking? Because I'm a little lost. There was too much going on there. Let me know if that's what it is. A few seconds to reach you back. Because if I represent the seller, I cannot tell other agents or other buyers the offer. O'Neill says it's correct. Okay, so I'm good at translating sometimes some of these questions or decoding it. So if I represent the seller, right, and I receive 10 offers, I cannot tell the buyers or the buyer's agents what the offers were. If I represent the buyer and the seller comes home, like, hey, my client's going to put an offer, can I disclose? That depends. If you guys remember yesterday, we talked about listings. It depends on the listing agreement and their remarks. For instance, if the listing says all negotiations through the lister, right? Then you have to say, well, I will present an offer to your agent, and the agent will then go over it with you. Period. If it doesn't say that, then there's nothing wrong with you presenting it to the seller. Ethically, you should always consider there's a listing agent, so that's who I should present it to. But if there's no restriction, O'Neill, there's no problem. Okay? So it all goes back to what the listing says. That's pretty much what it is. All right, back to this. Broker's obligations to the sales agents. So wait. The broker is not your employer. The broker is a sponsor, right? Two things to remember. It's not your employer. They're a sponsor. But they have obligations to us agents? How does that make sense? They're just a sponsor. What do you guys think the obligation might be? Why would the broker have duties or obligations to us salespeople? Anybody? Representation? Okay. Well, we represent them. They don't represent us. So what obligation do they have to us? Sebastian, when it comes to paying us our share, yep. Money, right? What else? What obligations would they have? There's one key obligation besides what I'm going to read, but there's one key obligation that they have. Well, thank you for reading, but no, that's not, besides what I'm going to read. All right. Yes, the very first one. That's the very first one. Lisa says commission and negotiations. Okay. The very first commitment of all, or obligation that they have, is guiding us. That's the very first one. That's their top obligation. So a lot of brokers out there, unfortunately, as soon as you get your license, they go like, hey, congratulations, you're licensed, go out there and sell. Or do your thing. And there's no training. There's no guidance, right? But the very first thing that your broker has as obligation to you, or duty to you, is to provide you guidance, training. Okay? That's the very first thing, to protect you. Because if they protect you, if they train you, then you will protect them. Right? Because if you're doing things right, I cannot get sued because you're doing things right. So that's the first obligation, okay? Everything else, right? Making brokerage listings available. Now, I don't have to provide you listings. I don't have to provide you leads. But if there's in-house listings, then I need to have them available for you. I cannot block you from, oh, no, this is my listing. No, this is Pollyanna's listing. No, this is Muhammad's listing. No. Everybody has access to all the listings that are in the office. Cannot hide anything. We might be able to reserve that from, or restrict that to the outsiders, but insiders have to have access to it. Okay? Make the brokerage market and property data available. Provide training that was promised at the time of hiring. Provide whatever office support that was promised at the time of hiring. Uphold the commission structure and expense reimbursement policy. Conform to ethical standards imposed by the broker's trade organization, so NAR as an example. Uphold all covenants and provisions of the employment agreement. Whatever we promised on paper, or whatever we promised at the time of interview, right? Like Dre was asking about interview. Pretty much as you interviewing us, and I said, hey, our office does this, does that, whatever. If that's what I promised to you, I must uphold that. That's my obligation as a broker to you. Okay? Jose just wrote, that's what I want, guidance to be successful. Well, Jose, then when you go interview brokers, I don't know if you already have one to go to, but if you do, make sure you ask your broker what type of support and what type of training is provided. That's key, especially in the beginning when you have no experience. What you really want is somebody to hold your hand, right? If I just let you, I always think about it this way, just the same way you guys need to think about your clients, right? Think about clients and think about realtors, right, as babies. Simple. And you are a newborn into the business. Should we let, not that newborns can cross the street, but let's say you can crawl already, or you start walking, right? Should I let you cross the street by yourself? Should I leave you unattended in the beginning? No, you don't know what you're saying. Just because you passed, which is a great accomplishment, guys. Just because you were able to pass in the state exam and activate your license, great, congratulations. You know nothing. Because again, theory, right, versus practical, put it in practice, right, it's totally different. Okay? So, Jose, if you're looking for guidance, ask your potential broker. What type of training, what type of guidance do you provide? That is key. All right, agent compensation. Guys, agent compensation could be in many different ways. It could be from, agent compensation could be a split, could be a salary, depending on how you're employed. It could be a mix of both, depending, again, on how you're employed. But most independent contractors or most real estate salespeople work on compensation. There's no salary. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand when coming to this business is you might get paid, you might not get paid. I can guarantee you that I have to pay you if you perform. If you don't bring a buyer and close, or if you don't bring a listing that closes, then sorry, you don't get paid. Right? You pay based on performance, based on closings. Okay? Now, commission splits. A sales agent earns a compensation from procuring listings and for procuring buyers and tenants whenever the transaction results. Now, in the jargon or language, that's what it is. The jargon means language of brokerage. There are two sides to every transaction. There's a listing side, there's a buying side. Right? So if you represent the seller, you get one side of the transaction. You represent the buyer, you get one side of the transaction. If you represent both, you get two sides of the transaction. So the commission is based on your share of who you represent. If there's a 6% commission, you only represent one side, do you get the 6%? No. You got it? You get one side of the commission. Okay. All right, let me address something real quick. Jose, I haven't passed the class exam. After I get my state license, I look forward to seeing a broker. Guys, don't wait. It does not hurt for you to start scouting and start interviewing. Start asking. It does not hurt. Just don't get confused with things, but it does not hurt to start looking around. Because as soon as you pass the state exam, Jose, and Andrea, thank you. As soon as you pass the state exam, run to your broker, activate the license. Be ready for it. Why are you waiting until after? Schedule one broker a week if you have to. We'll talk to them. We got 7 weeks. You could have interviewed 7 brokers. And by the time you're done, you already know where you're going to go work. Sebastian, I know a broker. His name is Pedro Mota. There you go. There you go. Sebastian, you better not go anywhere else. That you're going to get smacked, I'm telling you. Just saying. I already got the whole crew here waiting for you. Anyway. Only because he was a referral from one of our agents. Just saying. That's why it is, okay? If you go somewhere else, off with the head. I'll stitch a badge on my shirt right now. There you go. All right, guys, but don't wait to interview. Start interviewing now. All right, so let's go over this. These are some commissions here, 70 or 80%. Some places have 60-40 splits. Some places have 50-50 splits. Everybody's different. Every agency is different. We have a tiered structure, for instance. So when you go interview, that's what you're looking for. There's agencies out there that offer you 100%. You can go for that too. But with 100% comes monthly bills, and then everything in the office you might have to pay for. There might be franchise fees. There might be why are you breeding fees. Like there might be fees. So that's, you have to look at the combination of things. What is the benefit of working for 100% compensation, and what is the benefit of working for somebody that offers you 60%? Maybe they provide all the marketing and no fees, right? They're like combinations. There's no good or bad. It's just every agency has their own good thing and their own bad thing, unfortunately, right? Gilbert, that's not what I said. Just so you know, I cannot recruit from the class at all. That's why I mentioned that Sebastian was already from a referral from an agent. We cannot recruit as a school. Any school that tries to recruit while in class is actually fined and could actually shut down, right? Because then that would be a recruiting school, and that has to be clearly stated to the real estate commission. Okay, that's the only reason. If it's something you want to interview, the realty, it's separate from the school, right? You're more than welcome to interview with us. Nobody is rejected, but I'm not marketing that, and I'm not advertising the recruiting portion. That's all. Okay. But Sebastian, I had to mess with him. Anyway, calculation commissions. Oh, whoever's on YouTube watching, you guys I can recruit. So if you have nowhere to go yet, you can come interview with New Direction Realty. Reach out to us. All right. These are some examples of splits real quick. Let's say the property sells for $500,000 and the commission agreed on was 6%. How much do you get paid? Well, if you represent both sides, the brokerage, not you, the brokerage gets paid $30,000. Not bad for one sale, right? Just so you guys know, depending on where you are, these are the average numbers you're going to see. $500,000 listings. Okay, 6%, 5-6% is the average commission. So pretty much on every deal out there here in the area that I'm at, for instance, on every deal, it's an average of $30,000 paid to the field, not to you, but paid to the brokerage, $30,000. Then comes the split. So if there's a co-brokerage split, let's say 50%, then one brokerage gets $15,000, the listing brokerage gets $15,000. The buying brokerage or the selling brokerage gets $15,000. And then in this example, we're 50-50 with the agents in both sides to be easy. What does that mean? It means that everybody gets $7,500 out of this deal. You as an agent gets $7,500. Me as a brokerage gets $7,500 because we're on a 50-50. If we're on a 60-40, obviously these numbers would change. You get more, I'll get less. If you're in a 70-30, you get way more, I'll get way less. And that's the way it is. So there's two sides. There's always the listing side and the selling side. Listing side represents the seller. Selling side represents the buyer. Everybody knows this by now, right? O'Neill, good luck, man. Or woman, not sure. Never know nowadays with names. It's tough. If you're French, right? Michelle is a man. If you're American, Michelle is a woman. I'll never know. Sorry. So O'Neill, apologize. I went straight for the man. It's just habit. And if you're neither, guys, don't get offended. Okay? I'm sorry. Just force a habit. O'Neill says, man. All right, cool. Gotta get, gotta get checked every other day. Like what to say or not to say. Andrea Natalia is a man's name, so without the I. Andrea. With I? And like that? Some areas, maybe. But yes, it's a man's name. Yeah. All right. So, if there's no cooperating broker, meaning nobody brought the buyer, you did, right? It was not somebody else, then you make $15,000 off the deal. If there's no cooperating broker, but there's two agents within the same agency, then in this scenario, on the 50-50 split, listing broker gets $15,000, right? And each agent gets $7,500. That's it. Simple. Are these bad numbers? If you do one of these a month, is it bad? Right. Now remember that most agents, the average split on an agency is 70-30. So these numbers to you are actually higher. Just saying. The average commission split out there is 70% to the agent. So for every $10,000, you make $7,000. You make one of those a month, not that bad. You get 2 rolling, 3, 4, once a week, not bad, right? Would it change your life if you had these? For some people, maybe. For others are like, I'm privileged. I make more than that. I make $10,000. I make $12,000 a month. Whatever. The difference is how much time you have to put in to make those $12,000 a month versus one of these deals. That's the difference. The average time you're going to spend on one of these deals is around 6 to 10 hours, tops. Right? Once you're good, once you're efficient with your time and what you're doing, right? Once you're efficient, 6 to 10 hours tops. So think about it. If you make $10,000 a month, working somewhere else, right? That's 160 hours a month. Here you can make those $10,000 a month, right? In 10 hours. That's $1,000 an hour. Not bad. I'm not dismissing anybody's job or anything like that. It's just this to answer what Lisa just said right now. What if you're a part-time agent? Think about it. If you're a part-time agent, you don't have 10 hours over the next month, 10 hours over the next month. Yeah, you could make $7,000. You can make $10,000. You can make $20,000 a month extra as a part-timer. You can. Now, this is being part of the deal. In the beginning, you're going to put way more hours because you need to plant the seeds. You need to be able to get potential listers or potential buyers. Some clients of mine only came to me after like 5 years. Oh, Bruno, you still do real estate? Like, yeah. Like 5 years ago, they didn't want to sell. Now they do. You know? But the deal beginning to end, once you start working on a particular deal, beginning to end is around 6 to 10 hours of work. Okay? The marketing, that's the thing that takes longer. How do you get your leads? Talking to people. I prospect on purpose, so everywhere I go, I'll talk about real estate somehow. Right? Kind of like slide it in there. Like, hey, real estate. You see what the market is doing? Crazy, right? Yeah, man. I can't wait until the property reaches $1 million. Then I'll sell. Ooh, I don't know, man. $1 million? What if the market tanks? I mean, we're already way up high, and then interest rates are going up. I think maybe you should, if you're thinking about it, I would potentially go and see if we can sell now. Oh, but what if the market keeps on going up? Well, it's your loss. But what if it tanks? Then it's definitely your loss, right? You know what I'm saying? But I never said I'm an agent. Not yet. In this conversation, did I say I'm an agent? I just talked about real estate market. That's it. All right, let's see. Can you work in 2 agencies or work with 1 agent and work on your own too? Andrea M just answered you. You can work in different agencies if it's different states. That's it. In the same state, only 1 agency. All right, real quick. How do you obtain listings? Like I said, talk to people. That's it. Knock on doors. There's a lot of different ways. But some of the skills you need to develop on the next page is prospecting. How do you get leads? Prospecting. Jose is funny. Isn't that blockbusting? Nope. Blockbusting would be scaring you into selling, Jose, because of groups of people that are moving into the neighborhood. Telling you what the market is doing is not blockbusting. Nope. Okay. You need to be an expert at pricing. That's why we don't do it right in the beginning. We work with somebody else. You need to learn how to do a listing presentation. What does that mean? Being able to sit down with somebody and explain to them what the listing is, what our marketing strategy is going to be together. Right? Mr. Seller, you and I are going to work together. Mrs. Seller, you and I are going to work together. So how are we going to market the property? Because don't forget, I still need your assistance in this. If you're not available, then how can I sell your house? If you don't let me take pictures, then how can I sell your house? Stuff like that. Okay. And of course, negotiating the agreements. All right. Prospecting right here. Prospect on purpose. Talk to people at the cafe, at the restaurant, at the supermarket, at the retail store. Talk to the guy at the toll booth. So I don't know. On purpose, talk to people about things. You don't have to say you're an agent, but start developing a natural way of introducing real estate in your conversations. Do not force it either, because forced conversations are the worst. Okay, but definitely try to introduce real estate in any conversation. Okay, that is key. It could be advertising, like mailers. You can do every direct door mailers with USPS. You can do flyers. You can do Facebook marketing. Hey, I'm a realtor. Hey, this property just sold in this neighborhood. Inquire on how I can help your house get that too, or stuff like that. All right, so there's a lot of ways to get leads. Or you can buy leads. In the beginning, I recommend you don't buy any leads. If you don't know what to say, then you're just wasting money. If you don't have the time to follow up, then you're definitely wasting money. And if you want to waste money, guys, I'll give you my Cash App. Okay? Simple. $B Quintella. Send me your money. I'll take it from you. Right? So buying leads is definitely not an option. Not in the beginning. Once you're experienced and you know what you're doing and you know what to say, that's different. All right, Sebastian, got to pay a toll. Hand them a business card. Yep. Paying a restaurant bill, leave a business card. Paying your things at a 7-Eleven, leave a business card. That's it. Everywhere you go. It's true. Okay. Ruth is laughing on YouTube. What's up, Ruth? Didn't know you were there. All right, pricing. So you definitely need to know how to price a property. This is very, very important. Because again, it's either the seller sells you on the price being $1 million, or you let the seller know, hey, market value is X amount of dollars, okay? We're going to talk about appraisal in chapter 16. We're going to move forward. Okay. Jose says, I got what you're saying, Bruno. I used to preach. I used the same strategies to start a conversation. You used to preach? What happened? I'm not going to go there. I'm sorry, Jose. Sorry. I was going to say something. You know, if we were face to face, then I'll have fun with it because then I'll know your reaction. Anyway, it's not what you're thinking because I'm religious. Okay, so it's not what you're thinking. I'm just not going to bash religion. Anyway, so agents must be careful right here. One of the things you need to know, because it will be almost a guaranteed question. Agents must be careful to caution sellers that they are not appraisers. Guys, we are not appraisers. So we can never ever say that the price we came up with is an appraisal. It's a valuation or market value or fair market value or CMA, comparable market value, based on sales in the neighborhood. Okay? But it's not an appraisal. For you to get an official appraisal, you need to hire an appraiser. Okay? This is key. We're going to talk about it in chapter 16. Right? Marketing steps. You need to have these skills. Create a marketing plan. Selling the prospect. I'll explain in a second. And obtaining offers. Marketing plan. That's easy. I already told you what you're going to do. Whether it's flyers every day or every direct door mailers. It's Facebook. That's what you're going to do with your marketing plan. But now, what are you selling? What are you trying to get them to do? That's very important. So you must know how to qualify your prospect's plans, preferences, and financial capabilities, how to show properties that meet the customer needs, elicit buyers' reactions to properties, this is key, and report material results to the seller or listing agent. Okay? You need to be able to read your clients. You're showing the houses, you're not going to force anything to your client. You need to see where their reaction was for each property, right? And be able to relate to them. That's very important. At the earliest appropriate time, the agent must make certain disclosures to a prospective customer. What disclosures must we give to a prospective customer? Agency relationship. How do I represent you or not? Property's physical condition, very important. And possible presence of hazardous materials. So as soon as you know something wrong with the house, gotta let the potential buyer or seller know. Okay, that is key. We talked about this in agency already, right? Page 182, all in green because it's very, very important. An agent must be extremely careful at this point to abide by fiduciary obligations to the buyer, to the client, whoever the party may be. Discussions of price are particularly delicate. We spend a lot of time on that in agency chapter, right? Whether the client is the buyer or seller, the agent's duty is to uphold the client's best interests. Thus, it is not acceptable to suggest to a customer what the price that a client will or will not accept. By now, you guys know the difference. You cannot tell a customer what your client will accept. Why? Because you represent the client. If you represent the seller, you're not going to tell a potential buyer, hey, client's willing to take $200,000 for this. So any offer close to it is fine. Unless the client told you to express that number. Okay? When the buyer or tenant makes an offer, the agent must present it to the seller at the earliest possible moment. So we must present offers. If the terms of the offer are unacceptable, the agent may assist the seller in developing what's called a counteroffer, which the agent would subsequently submit to the customer or customer's agent. The offering and the counteroffering process continues until a meeting of the minds results in the sale. That means until we agree to all the terms. There's offer, counteroffer. And we keep on going back and forth until, hey, we're good. Price is great. What's included, what's excluded is great. The length, the time to close is great. And so on. We all agree to it. This was in the contract chapter. We need to assist, whether you deal with the client or the customer, because you could be as a transaction broker, so customer. We need to be able to assist these people in finding their way throughout the transaction. Okay? So, an agent's foremost duty in following acceptance of an offer is to submit the contract and the earnest money to employing broker without delay. Most states, and we'll go more in detail then, impose deadlines for this requirement, usually within 24 hours from the agent's receipt of the deposit. Other responsibilities are assisting the buyer in obtaining financing, assisting the seller in clearing the title, assisting the seller in completing property repairs. Little caveat here, so careful. Okay. Recommending inspectors, appraisers, attorneys, and title companies, assisting in communications between the principals, and assisting in the exchange of transaction documents. So I wrote careful there for a reason. Do not make repairs in somebody else's house. If you want to, that's at your own risk. Okay? Because you might not get paid for it. Or if something goes wrong, you did it wrong, you might get sued for it. This is why, next line is very good, that says recommending inspectors, appraisers, attorneys, title companies, and construction companies. Let somebody else handle it. And again, with a caveat or the warning, hey, I've worked great with these people, not guaranteeing the work on your end or how you guys are going to communicate, if you're going to have a good relationship or not. But these are people that I usually recommend. Boom. Disclosure. It's on you. If something goes wrong, I'm sorry. If it goes right, yeah, it was me that recommended. Right? You know how it is, right? If it's good, it was me. If it was bad, it wasn't me. All right. We're going to talk about this very seriously. Commingling and conversion. Okay. Commingling and conversion. This is the responsibilities of the broker. Now, this is a word I usually call the Chinese word. No offense to anyone. I call it a Chinese word because it's easier to remember like that, which is commingling. Okay? Commingling means mixing money. When you mix personal money with business money, that's commingling. When you mix other people's money with your money, that's commingling. When you mix other people's money with the business money, that's commingling. Okay? Commingling simply means mixing. Okay? You have to remember this. Guaranteed question on this or your money back. Guaranteed question on commingling. Remember it. Mixing funds. If the buyer gives you a deposit of $10,000, you have to deposit it right away into the escrow account. You cannot put it into your business account or personal account. Otherwise, it's called commingling. Now, that's mixing. Conversion is using the money. You convert it from being other people's money, now being your money without authorization. So if I deposit the $10,000 that Dre gave me, right, as a deposit, I put that into my business account and I use it to pay my my mortgage or to pay my rental, right, the lease here. And I'm using Dre's money, not my money. That's conversion. I commingled her funds with mine and I'm using it. Conversion. These are serious crimes and I can guarantee you guys, doesn't matter what state you're in. If you go and look for actions against realtors with a real estate commission, most of them are based on commingling or conversion. Most of them. Okay? MLS, you guys already know what it is. Covered. Jose says, that's exactly how commingling sounds to me. Mixing money. There you go. Ruth, people really do that. Sorry, do what? I didn't see your message before. All right, advertising regulations, guys. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this tomorrow because it's already 9:30. We're going to stop right here at page 184, advertising. Tomorrow we'll continue with this chapter. and then we'll have tomorrow's chapters as well. All right. You guys have any questions so far? Ruth, try to do repairs. Yeah. Sometimes agents do the repairs just to, speed up things. Just like agents pay for COs, inspections, and stuff. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Don't do it. All right? Get the money, then go do it. Simple. All right? All right. Any other questions? Marlon wrote tomorrow's chapters. So yeah, we'll finish this one, which is almost done. It's brief. What we're gonna go over. Again, I want to focus more advertising. I want to focus more when we get to the state portion, because that's more specific in the state portion. And then tomorrow we have chapter 14, which is overview of conveyance contracts, very short. And we have real estate market economics, also briefly. It will be a brief overview. So we got 2 chapters tomorrow, short chapters, and we'll finish this one tomorrow. All right? You guys good? Thumbs up? Awesome. So tomorrow we'll be here at 5:30. I'll see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your day tomorrow. Thank you.